Hello everyone and welcome back. Patch 7.2 is here, and with that comes brand new dungeons. So here is Cathedral of the Eternal Night in Mythic mode. So let's go over all of the boss mechanics so that you guys can get through this dungeon a lot easier. Up first we have Agron Ox. The best thing to know is that for this fight, you do want to stay right where he is to tank him. The back of the room is going to have a lot of ads spawning, and so you don't want to be back there when they spawn. So you do see here fulminating lashers, they start running to everyone. They're fixated on different people, so DPS needs to switch over to them immediately. They are #1 priority and actually needs to DPS them down before they get to their target. The second priority is the ad that actually spawned right underneath Agron Ox. So you will see here a different angle of me doing this on different time as DPS. When Agron Ox does do Timber Smash on the tank, you do need to pop some sort of mitigation. Now this means active mitigation and another cooldown. So whether you have an absorb trinket or a smaller cooldown, you do need to pop anything else during this time to survive these Timber Smashes. They do hurt a lot and they will make you go down. So you do see here as a DPS there's one other lasher available. What you can do is you can actually slow down these lashers, but you can't stun them. So once they switch targets, I do go in and DPS them, and they are the #1 priority at all times. If you are DPS or healer and you do manage to get thrown back and actually start getting choked out by one of these vines, what you need to do is run 20 yards away and break that yourself. So you do see here I am tethered. Once you go more than 20 yards, you break that tether and it no longer does damage to you. With this Succulent Lasher that spawned right underneath the boss, you do see that this lasher has its own cast bar. What this cast bar does is as soon as it's done, it does a big AoE ability, so you want to be out of that. And it also drops something on the ground. So as soon as you see this ad casting, you want to run away from that and actually avoid both the thing on the ground and being anywhere near it when it finishes its cast. So again, just to sum it all up, for tanks, make sure you have active mitigation up and a cooldown used every time Timber Smash goes out on you. Make sure you walk away from Succulent Lashers when they're finishing their cast and move the boss accordingly to all the stuff on the ground. For DPS, prioritize the spawns that spawn in the back of the room, the fulminating lashers first. Do not get hit by them. Second is DPS the Succulent Lashers and then the boss. And also if you start getting choked out by the vines, make sure you break that. The next boss is Thrash Bite. Thrash Bite is a lot simpler. What you want to do is tank and DPS Thrash Bite here in the middle of the ring inside this circle that they make for you and stay out of the outsides. The reason you stay away from the outside is this right here. That mace that goes around the whirlwind, it will do lethal damage if you get caught outside. Once he does gaze someone, think the Black Rook Hold boss, hide behind one of these bookcases, he will break it and you won't get hit. Now the books that spawn need to be DPS'd immediately. Remember, avoid this AoE he does on the ground, it will one-shot you. So once he does do the charge, make sure you DPS the books first and then avoid any other AoEs second. So again here you do see me DPSing as well. Make sure you run out of this AoE, run back in to avoid the whirlwind in the outside areas, and hide behind any bookshelf if you're the one being targeted. Now in terms of the books that spawn, biographical books get #1 priority because they do MC someone. Fictional books cast an AoE slow, so they should be second. And the satirical book casts an AoE silence. So while they are the #1 priority and you should be able to cleave them down really fast, biographical and fictional books are your #1 priority because of MC and slows. While this boss doesn't have an enrage timer, once you run out of bookcases, people will start going down. Up next, we have Dominic Drax. Now this boss is a little bit more simple. Basically with this boss, face him away from the group, DPS the Portal Guardians as soon as you can, and run inside the middle when he's going to finish his cast. So you see here the Guardians do spawn. I run out towards them in order to DPS them first. Now you should place the boss in an area where a frontal cleave won't hurt everyone. You see this Felsoul cleave here, you do want to sidestep that. When he does start casting his full energy cast, you see someone was outside, they get one shot. What you need to do is run into the Aegis, and as soon as that cast completes, you should be standing inside. If you are not standing inside when that cast completes, you will be one shot. A very important thing to note with this shield in the middle is it does have HP. So you see here, even though he's not casting anything, the energy of the shield is going down because people are standing in it. What you want to do is only stand inside the shield when he's doing his cast. If you stand in the shield at all times, the shield will run out and you will no longer have an area to stand in when he does his cast. So again, you see here, the Portal Guardians are the #1 priority. You go and DPS those down first because they will summon adds. If you do not DPS these Guardians down in 20 seconds, they will summon a bigger add that spells out big trouble for you because it does do AoE ticking damage. So to sum it all up, run to the middle when he has full energy and he's doing his big cast. DPS the Portal Guardians down first, avoid getting hit by the cleave, and that's it. The last boss we have is Methis Draw. What you need to do for him is actually face him away from the group out towards the back. He does one move which is unavoidable AoE damage, so spread out, do a slash range 8 and stay away from everyone. And some people get debuffs that when that debuff wears off, they actually drop a big green patch on the ground and you need to step out of it because a Fel Spire will come up and one-shot you from that. The only other thing he does do, and the reason you face him away from the group, is Carrion Swarm that you see here. It's a frontal cone ability that leaves a plague on the ground. So face him away so that frontal cone doesn't hurt anyone, and don't stand in that plague. Now the tank should pick up the Aegis before the fight begins. Once the tank uses his extra action button, you see these orbs flying at Illidan. He needs to block these orbs and stop them from hitting Illidan. You see Illidan's cast bar here. This cast bar is very important. Once the cast bar finishes, you can exit this phase. During this phase, there is unavoidable shadow damage that keeps ramping up over time. Everybody should DPS the shadows that you see on the edges, and everyone should also avoid getting hit by the orbs or any fel patches on the ground. Once this phase is over, you're back to facing the boss away from the group, dropping your debuff away from everyone towards the edges of the room, and staying away from everyone else. Remember, slash range 8. And that really covers Cathedral of the Eternal Night. I know it's brand new. Trust me, today on the live stream, I went through a group where we wiped like 50 times trying to get this done. It's still a learning curve. Everybody's still learning all the mechanics, but as long as you stick to this, you should be good. Remember, I do have a lot more content coming here regarding Lower and Upper Karazhan as well, the brand new dungeons that were introduced along with Cathedral. And if you would like to donate to the channel, you can go ahead and check out my Patreon down below. There are exclusive rewards that you guys get that are kind of time gated only for you. But I want to thank you all for watching, sharing, and spreading these videos. And as always, good luck out there.